today I am making for you my pumpkin roll. Now I have been doing this for about 15 years, and in that time I have discovered the different tricks it takes to make the pumpkin roll come out looking both beautiful and tasting delicious. Let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to show you all the ingredients that you will need for the pumpkin roll. So for the cake part of it, you're going to need some flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, baking powder, salt, sugar, three eggs, pumpkin, and a little bit of lemon juice. And then for the cream cheese filling part, you will need cream cheese, of course, some butter, a little bit of vanilla, and some powdered sugar. Now there are some things you're going to want to do beforehand to get ready to make this. First of all, you want to pull out your 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of butter, and 6 ounces of your cream cheese. And you want these to sit out and come up to room temperature. It takes about half an hour or so. For the eggs, the room temperature eggs will help your batter to be nice and airy. That's what you want for a good pumpkin roll, is a nice, light, airy cake batter. And then of course for the cream cheese frosting, well, it's easier to mix it up if everything is soft. So you want to pull this out ahead of time so that it's nice and soft before you mix that together. I highly suggest you get all of your ingredients out, probably your measuring cups and spoons as well, so everything is ready to go, because even though this is a multi-step process to making this cake, it goes pretty quickly, so it's just easier to have everything ready ahead of time. Then the next thing you will want to do is prepare your pan. All right, you will want a 15-inch by 10-inch by 1-inch pan. And yes, the measurements of the pan are very important. This cake, you want to have the right thickness. It is a thin batter. It's not going to look like much when you pour it in. If your pan is too long, your cake will be too thin. If your pan is too short, even by 1 inch or 2, your cake will be too thick, and that will hinder the rolling process. So this is the best size pan to have. You're going to want to grease this however you want to grease it. I'm going to do a little bit of oil. You can do it with butter. If you have like a cooking spray, you can do that. I don't have a cooking spray on me right now, so I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of oil, work that onto the pan. Might be a little greasy, but that'll be fine. Now you're going to want to get parchment paper and also grease that. And parchment paper, I find, does work best. If you don't have parchment paper, then wax paper will be fine, but parchment paper seems to work just a little bit better. And I'm just going to use my fingers because I have extra on them, and I'm going to grease this. This is important because this will help your cake fall right out of the pan and the parchment paper to not stick to the back of it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and combine all of our dry ingredients into a bowl. We'll start with 3/4 of a cup of flour. We'll do 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of ginger, a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of nutmeg. And go ahead and stir that up together. When that is thoroughly combined, then you will just set it aside to use for later. Okay, at this point, you can preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I have brought over my stand mixer. This is what I prefer for the next part of the recipe. You can use a hand mixer. You could beat the eggs by hand, but it'll probably just wear out your hands. So I would recommend using some kind of mixer for it. You are going to put in your 3 eggs. Right, I have attached the paddle attachment to my stand mixer. That is what I think will work best. You will go ahead and mix, or rather beat your eggs on high for 5 minutes until your eggs are a nice lemony color. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to turn off the mixer and show you what it's supposed to look like. So that is, let me see if I can move the paddle a little bit so you can see better. Okay, so this is nice and frothy, a very light lemon colored egg, and this is what you want it to look like. So now you're going to slowly add in your sugar. You can either have your mixer going on about a low to medium setting, or you can just add a little bit at a time and then mix it up, which is what I usually do because I'm not very graceful with adding ingredients in while my mixer is going. Yeah, we'll put this on about a medium because it still needs to beat it in. When it's all incorporated, just add more until you've put in the whole cup of sugar. I don't think I mentioned before, but you do need 1 cup of sugar. And here's the last of my sugar. Now I'm using an organic cane sugar. You can use regular white sugar. It won't make a difference. Mine is turning the egg mixture a little darker color. If you use regular white sugar, you aren't going to have that. All right, now that the sugar is all incorporated, we're going to go ahead and add our pumpkin. You're going to need 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin. And make sure that you get pumpkin that's just pure pumpkin puree, nothing added to it. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. And honestly, the lemon juice just brings out all the other flavors more strongly. And we just want to stir this in, so you can still go ahead and use the stand mixer, just do it on a low setting. Okay. I've gone ahead and taken my mixing bowl off of my stand mixer because this next part you do want to mix by hand. You're going to take your bowl of your dry ingredients that you mixed together earlier. You're going to add that in. I just kind of sprinkle it around on top. And then you are going to fold it in. And this is so that you keep all that air that you've been building up with beating your eggs and everything. You're going to keep that in there by slowly mixing in your flour mixture. Now I've seen this done different ways. The way I do it is just kind of cut across your bowl in half and slowly push your mixture around. And you can move your bowl as needed. The main idea is that you're just slowly incorporating your flour mixture. It's a very slow stir, and this way you're not getting rid of any of that air. It remains nice and airy and fluffy to make a wonderful pumpkin roll. You can kind of push down in some places to make sure you don't have little bubbles of flour mixture in there. This is a little bit of a process, so take your time, go slow until it's all incorporated. Make sure that you don't have anything stuck on the bottom. Okay, when it's all mixed up, go ahead and grab your pan. We are going to pour our mixture onto our pan. And then just spread the batter evenly throughout your pan. It is going to be thin. That is how it's supposed to look. Remember, you are rolling this, so you will get those layers as you roll it. So this is supposed to be a very thin cake. Now this is going to seem a little counterintuitive, but you can go ahead and you can whack your pan a couple times on your counter, and it will actually help with your cake. Go. And now your cake is ready to go into the oven for about 15 minutes. And I say about because this one is very kind of fiddly with how much time you want to put in it. You do not want to overbake your cake. So it'll be approximately like 13 to 15 minutes depending on how your oven cooks. If you start to smell your cake like it smells like it's done, go ahead and check it. What you're going to look for when it's done is that you can put your finger down on it and it'll spring back up like a sponge. It is a sponge cake. That is what you're looking for. You don't want, a bunch to stick to your finger, but you definitely don't want to overbake this cake. Okay, in the meantime, while your cake is baking in the oven, you do not get to sit down and relax and enjoy 15 minutes of quiet. No, you must go to the next step. This cake is step by step, it goes quickly. You need to get a clean dish towel put down. Find one that has the least amount of pieces that will come off. Sometimes you have a dish towel that those little pieces of cloth come off easily. Don't get one of those. You don't want pieces of cloth in your cake. So get a clean dish towel, and you're going to put down some powdered sugar. I always put it through a sift just so it's, not clumpy. Okay, so I'm just gonna. You want a good dusting because this is going to help your cake to not stick to your towel. I always tend to overdust mine and put powdered sugar further on the towel than what the cake will actually take up, but it's better to have too much than too little. That should be good for now. And now when your cake comes out, and I will show you this when mine is done, but when your cake comes out of the oven, immediately you're going to want to turn it out onto this dishcloth. You're going to want to take off the parchment or wax paper that you used, and then you will immediately roll up your cake. You do not want it to cool before you roll it, otherwise it'll be too hard. You won't be able to roll it or it'll crack. Okay, my pumpkin roll is out of the oven. I wish you could smell this. It smells amazing. You can see it looks very porous. If I push on it, it does spring back. It's not sticking to my finger. That is exactly what it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and turn it out onto the powdered sugared tea towel. And you just have to commit to it. Do it fast, don't do it slow. I once lost the pumpkin roll. It slid completely off and yeah, it was not good. So trust yourself, you can do it, and just turn it out quickly onto your towel. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen off my parchment paper. If you did enough of the grease on it, whatever you used, it should just slide neatly off. There have been times that I have slightly overbaked the edges and the parchment paper stuck a little bit. Just loosen it as easily as you can. Take your time with it. This is also why I prefer parchment paper, because it does seem to have less issues sticking than regular wax paper. And then we are going to roll it up. You're going to start with the short end and you're going to roll it as tightly as you can. I will also say that my pumpkin roll took about 16.5 minutes to bake. It was a little sticky when I first checked it at 15 minutes. The original recipe did say to do the oven at 375 degrees. My oven sometimes cooks hot, and I could not remember what I did last year, so I just started at 350, and it had to be baked for a little bit longer. You know your oven. Somewhere between 350, 375 degrees is fine. And again, around 15 minutes. Check it a little before that if you need to. If you need to go a little longer, do, but only go in like increments of 1 to 1.5 minutes at a time to make sure you don't overbake the cake. Once it's rolled up, we're going to cool it on a rack, and while it is cooling, we will make the cream cheese frosting. We will let this cool. I usually don't let it cool all the way to room temperature. It's still a little bit warm, but mostly cooled when I put the cream cheese frosting on. Okay, now we are going to make our cream cheese frosting. Now, once again, you are going to need 6 ounces of softened cream cheese and 1/4 cup of softened butter. If you forgot to pull them out ahead of time, because I have definitely done that before, just stick them in your microwave for a little bit. Ours has a softened setting, which helps a lot. Otherwise, just, do a few seconds at a time until they're softened. It just helps them to mix together a whole lot easier than when they're cold. And then you will also do a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. You'll beat that together and then you'll add your powdered sugar. So let's start by putting in the cream cheese. And the butter. And we will beat those on a high setting until they come together. If you need to, you can grab a spatula and scrape down your paddle or your sides as needed. These are pretty well mixed together. I'm gonna scrape everything down. And now we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and beat that in. All right, now we're going to add powdered sugar. It's basically to taste. The recipe takes about 1 cup of powdered sugar. If you like it a little less sweet, do less. If you like it more sweet, do more. Really just add it to where it looks like a good frosting texture, and then taste it. If you don't think you want a whole cup, see if it's sweet enough for you, and if not, go ahead and add some more. We're just going to do this a little bit at a time, otherwise you're going to have powdered sugar flying up all over the place. Of course, scrape down the paddle, the sides as needed. Scrape the bottom of the bowl if your powdered sugar is starting to just get kind of pushed down there instead of mixing in with the rest of it. Alright, that's probably going to be good. Again, I would recommend that you taste a little bit of it first. Make sure that it is the sweetness that you like. And even if it tastes a little sweet, remember it is going to be paired with that pumpkin roll, which is not an overly sweet cake, so it really does go very well together. Oh my goodness, I just had a little taste of it. It tastes so good. It's very cream cheesy. Like, it is a bit sweet, but it's not overly sweet. So that 1 cup of powdered sugar is a good amount. I'm just gonna stir it up, make sure that it's all completely blended together. If you can see that it's good. It looks like frosting. It's a frosting consistency. It's a little thick, but not too thick. It's going to spread very well. This may not look like much, but remember, the cake is a small cake, so it's gonna be good enough. You might even have a tiny bit left over. You'll have a very nice thick layer of frosting for your cake. Okay, guys, our pumpkin roll has been cooling, and it's still a little warm, but I think it's good to put the frosting on it now. So now the moment of truth. Let's hope that we get a cake without any cracks. I'm gonna just gently unroll it. Honestly, if it does have a crack, that's fixable. But I think we did it. Look at that. That looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, this part, it might crack a little bit, but I think it's gonna be okay. I've dealt with cracks so much. So honestly, if you get a crack, it's not a big deal. Just fill it with frosting, roll it up. It's gonna taste amazing anyway. Like, honestly, until last year, I was getting cracks in my cakes all the time. All right, so now we're going to add this frosting, kind of put it in the middle. You're going to spread it to about an inch or so. I usually do it closer to the edge than that because I'm not good at judging measurement like that, but about to an inch from the edge. Just fill it in. See that? It's cracking a tiny bit, but it'll be okay. This part here is a little bit delicate because it is still rolled, so you might just want to lift that up a little bit with your fingers to get the frosting in there. Don't force it to lie flat because it's not going to. Alright, so there you have it. It is spread. My frosting did have a little bit of lumps from the cream cheese in it, but it'll be fine. It'll be all rolled up together and it won't be noticeable. So now we're going to re-roll it. Again, very slowly, gently peel the towel from the back of your pumpkin roll as you roll it. This whole process from beginning to end is all about taking your time, doing it with patience. You will be rewarded for your efforts, for sure. And again, even if you have a crack, it's not going to matter. It's going to taste wonderful. Even if it's a little messy, it's going to taste amazing. And look, you get that beautiful powdered sugar top. There is our pumpkin roll. That's what it looks like from the edges. We're going to just let this cool the rest of the way. I'm going to wrap it in cling wrap, maybe some parchment paper on top of that. Stick it in the fridge. Let it chill for a while, at least a couple of hours, if not longer, as long as you can, because the more it chills, the more those flavors just meld together and are really wonderful. And then when you serve it up, you just cut it into slices. If you want, you can trim the edges so that the edges have a prettier finish. And then you get a little bit of a snacking cake before you serve it. There's my pumpkin roll, everyone. Good luck with yours. I hope yours turns out very pretty as well, but it's still gonna taste amazing. Now the taste test.
So I think we need to go with one of the prettiest big ones so we can split it.
I'm just gonna take all of it. I gotta tell you, this is just amazing. If you like pumpkin, you like pumpkin cake, pumpkin roll, especially if you've had pumpkin roll, this is the best pumpkin roll I've ever had, easily. I mean, granted, she makes it all the time, you know, makes it every year, so every year it's the best pumpkin roll I've ever had. It just, you know, it's amazing. Eat this, make it.
See the spiral, the cream cheese in between. It's so pretty. Oh, it's so good. It just complements itself so well. You have the pumpkin. That cream cheese frosting is not too sweet, just the right amount of cream cheese, a little sweetness to it. I'm telling you, make this yourself. Even if it doesn't go perfect the first time, because it's probably not going to. I have made it many, many, many times, and pretty much everything that could go wrong has gone wrong with me. Just keep trying, you'll get it, you'll be happy you did. And thanks for watching.
Please leave a like if you liked this video, subscribe to the channel and share with your friends, and stay tuned for more recipes that, while not necessarily authentic, are always delicious.
Tea towel.
Snake!
And then you will also do a half teaspoon of
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
So let's start by putting in the cream cheese.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
So now the moment of truth. That looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, hello, beautiful.